Hello, Mrs. Biondo's class. Welcome to Gullo's Garden Center. My name is Mr. Gullo, and I'm really excited to be your guide today and to take you on a tour of the Garden Center. Gullo's Garden Center is my family's business, and I've been working here since I was 12 years old. So does anyone know what a family business is? A family business it's exactly as the name suggests. It could be, it could be a store, an office, a restaurant. In our case, it's a garden center, and it's a business that is owned by a family. Oftentimes, the workers are family members, and I have quite a few family members who work here. They are my dad, my brother, my sister, and my brother-in-law all work here as well. So we get to see each other almost every day. So, you might be wondering, what is a garden center? Let's talk about that. Well, it has the word garden in it, so you can probably get things for your garden here, right? Yep. In fact, you can buy pretty much anything for your yard at a garden center. You can buy trees, flowers, shrubs, mulch, pottery, fertilizer, houseplants, vegetable plants and seeds, decor for your yard, bird feeders, fountains, furniture, and yes, even buffaloes. So during the months of November and December, the garden center transforms. It doesn't look much like it does in spring. So we have Christmas trees, we have wreaths, we have poinsettias, which is the Christmas flower, and lots of holiday decor, everything you need for Christmas. And we're going to be looking at all of that today, but before we go inside, let's learn a bit of geography. And since we're virtual, you might be wondering where Gullo's is. Let's take a look at the map. Okay, so if we take a look at the map here, Orchard Park is in blue and Hamburg is in red. So we are basically next door neighbors. In fact, if you were to walk out the front door of Wyndham, make a right, and walk about 100 feet, you would be in the town of Hamburg. Hamburg, where you're visiting today, along with Orchard Park and parts of West Seneca, where most of you live, used to all be one big town called Hamburg. They split in the year 1850, and Orchard Park was called East Hamburg until it was renamed Orchard Park in 1934. I know you've all been working hard on your math, and that is very useful in real life. So before we proceed, I want to challenge you with a math question. I'll give you 2 facts, and with them, you'll be able to tell exactly how old I am. So fact number 1, Mr. Gullo started working at Gullo's when they opened when he was 12 years old. Fact number 2, Gullo's opened 28 years ago. How old is Mr. Gullo? I'm inside from out of the cold, and it's freezing out there. It feels like winter already. I know winter doesn't start till December 21st, but inside it's nice and warm, and that's a good thing for these flowers that you see behind me, the poinsettia, the Christmas flower. So these are a very popular flower this time of year. A lot of people use them to decorate their homes, their offices, their churches. And we are actually going to go to 2 poinsettia experts, Luciano and Nella Gullo. They're going to teach us some cool facts about poinsettias so that you can be an expert too.
Hello, my name is Nella Gullo, and this is my brother Luciano Gullo. We're going to learn about some poinsettias today. This is red, that's white, this is pink, this is speckled. Here are some fun facts that you may not know. You may think that this is the flower but it's not. Can you zoom in? This is the flower. These are the leaves. Wait, one more fact you may not know is that poinsettias grow in the wild in Mexico and Central America. Nella, how tall can poinsettias grow in the wild? About 12 feet tall.
All right, we are out in the trees now. Who's ready to take a look at some Christmas trees? The first one we're going to look at is a Fraser fir, but before I talk about that, I want to talk about the differences. You notice that these trees, even though it's December, still have their needles. You might have noticed in your yard, there's a lot of trees that lost all their leaves. So there are two main different types of trees. There are deciduous, those are the trees that lose their leaves, and there are evergreens, like the Fraser fir, which hold their needles year-round. This is my favorite tree, actually. My family puts one up every year. Thing I like about it is, if you look underneath, you can see the needles they kind of have a little bit of a bluish hue to them. And the branches are really strong for heavy ornaments. These trees come from North Carolina. Quiz time. Does anyone know where North Carolina is? Let's take a look at the map. Is it the red state, the orange state, the yellow state, the blue state, or the green state? I'll give you a hint. These trees come from where their natural habitat is, which is the Southern Appalachian Mountains. Okay, if you guessed orange state, you're correct. Okay, the next tree we're going to look at is the Douglas fir right here. As you can see, these trees tend to be a little bit wider than the Fraser fir, and the color is a little bit more greenish than blue. The thing I like best about these ones is they have the most scent of all the Christmas trees. Couple facts about Douglas fir. These grow naturally in the wild out west, and they can actually reach up to 300 feet tall and live over 1,000 years. You might think that is impressive, and it definitely is, but there's another tree that grows out west that gets even taller and lives longer. If you've ever heard of redwoods, they can get almost 400 feet tall and live over 2,000 years. Now, these trees, although they're native to the West, they are grown in Pennsylvania. They can be grown in different locations. This is the redwood tree. If you've ever been to California where they grow, you may have been lucky enough to see them. I was, and it's like seeing a living skyscraper. The tallest one in the world is 380 feet tall, and they can live over 2,000 years. Now, we wouldn't want to use a redwood as a Christmas tree, though, would we? I mean, you'd need a helicopter to decorate the top of it. All right, last but not least, we have one lonely concolor fir left here. Now, as you can see, this tree has longer needles than the Fraser fir or the Douglas fir. And like the Douglas fir, they also grow in the wild out west. But this is a very popular tree. A lot of people actually plant them in their yards around here. The thing that I find most interesting about these is they do not smell like you would think for an evergreen. They actually smell like citrus. Some people think they smell like an orange, some will say a grapefruit, some will say a lemon. So it's a very unique tree. Okay, I think I found a good tree here for us to cut down and take home. It's a nice full Fraser fir, probably about 7.5 feet tall. Before I cut it down though, I want you to all guess how old this tree is. Do you think it's 3 years old, 20, 100? We are gonna go to Luciano Gullo, and he is going to tell us how to find out exactly how old this tree is. Now, I'm gonna need you to get your stump pieces out and follow along.
Luciano, how old is this tree? Well, you have to count the rings on the bark to see how old it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's how old the tree is. Okay.
Okay, does everyone have their guesses in? Let's cut this down and see. Okay, so you might have noticed when you were handling your stump sample and counting your rings, you got a little bit of sap on your hands, some sticky stuff. That actually blocks the tree from taking in water. So what we're gonna do is actually put a fresh cut on this with the saw, and then we will count the rings and see how old this tree is. Okay, so before we count, I want to show you something. Now, we know that trees take in water through their roots, but after the water comes up through the roots, where does it go? It does not go through the middle here. It actually comes up through the bark. And let's count this tree and see how old it is. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This tree is 8 years old. And you might also notice some of the rings are a little bit larger than the others. If it's a large ring, then the tree had a really good year and it grew a lot. You could see it had 2 good years in a row there. Those are really large rings. Okay, we have the tree all baled up, and now all we got to do is tie it to the car roof and bring it home.
I found this baler has many uses. It's also good for tying up kids. Just don't put them on the roof of your car with the tree, okay?
Okay, we have our tree all loaded up and ready to go home to decorate. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, isn't it bad to cut down trees? I mean, trees are good for the environment. They clean the air, they provide us with oxygen, shade, they provide homes for wildlife. And yes, that is all true about trees, but Christmas trees are actually great for the environment, and I'm gonna tell you why.
For every tree cut down on a Christmas tree farm, a new sapling, the word for a baby tree, is immediately planted in its place. Instead of cutting down trees and clearing the land to build things, Christmas tree farms have hundreds or even thousands of acres of trees cleaning our air and producing oxygen for us to breathe, providing shade and homes for wildlife. And the best part is they are 100% recyclable and biodegradable. They can be ground into mulch or composted into soil. The other option, artificial trees, are made from plastic. They usually last 7 or 8 years and then are thrown into a landfill where they can take 500 or more years to decompose. Wow. Feel good knowing you are doing planet Earth a favor by putting up a real tree.